Hi, my name is Brad Benish, and I work for the JGR Yoshimura Suzuki factory race team, and this is Justin Hill's race bike. Starting at the front of the bike here, Justin runs a Pro Taper Wyndham SX bar. They are a little bit rolled back from neutral, nothing too crazy though, just a hair back. So these are a factory Suzuki mount from Japan. Pretty cool with these as they allow us to kind of fine tune the height of his bend. These triple clamps are a factory Suzuki piece, again come from Suzuki Japan. Throttle tube is works connection, brake lines, clutch cable are all factory Suzuki as well. All that comes from factory Japan. Clutch is a ARC piece. Pro Taper grips. Justin likes to run the grip donuts mostly for comfort on his thumbs. Front brake master cylinder, brake line, and caliper are all factory. So we have a get map switch here, and that allows us to switch between a couple different map options. So if, in the middle of a race he wants to get a different power characteristic, he can switch it on the fly. Two switches on the left side here. We got normal kill switch and then launch control for the start. So front forks, factory Showa. Yeah, so you'll notice kind of between the two bikes sitting here on Justin's bikes, the forks are a little bit lower in the clamps. And again, that's mostly just for how he prefers the bike to steer. Works connection, a launch control piece. Justin does prefer to run it a little bit lower, and it's a single button. Front axle lugs, they are oversized compared to stock. Because of that, we do have to run a larger axle. So on our wheels, our hubs, spokes are factory Japan, and we do run a Excel hoop. So front rotor is oversized, same thing with the brake pads. They are, again, factory Suzuki piece from Japan. So front brake and the rear brake as well, he does like a very stiff initial feel. Try to get as much power out of it as you can. The radiators are stock, and they are welded for support as well. So if he does crash, they're protected from bending. So front of the radiators, again for weather this week, running a cover over the front radiator shroud to prevent mud from getting packed inside them. Our motors are done all in-house at JGR. We do have a few different options as far as power characteristics, what we can do, get it tailored towards their likes and needs. So we do have a JE piston and webcam. So new for this year, got a JGR logo actually inscribed into the head as well. On our radiators, we do run a CV4 radiator hose. Give us a little bit more consistency with water flow through the engine. Steering stem on the triple clamp, we do have a couple different options, flex characteristics, and we do also run a Yoshimura lock nut on the top triple clamp. Yeah, so we have our motor mounts that we make, kind of 50-50. Some of it's done in Japan, some of it is done in-house at JGR. Again, we have a couple different options, kind of tailor the chassis flex to what the guys want. So our clutch cable holder are done all in-house at JGR. Ignition side, we run a Hinson ignition cover as well as a clutch cover. So we do have a case saver, runs on the front of the chain, made in-house at JGR. That is also for sale directly through JGR. So our shifter, stock shifter with a factory Japan tip, and Justin tends to like that in a little bit higher position than stock. So our foot pegs are made in-house at JGR, completely titanium, and they are mounted on a stock Suzuki foot peg mount. With our foot pegs, we're able to change the position as far as height and how far forward or back they are. Justin, with a little bit bigger size boot that he wears, prefers his foot pegs a little bit further back. Swing arm pivot, it's a titanium pivot with an aluminum locking nut. With our subframe, stock Suzuki for subframe. And Justin is a little bit shorter. We've actually lowered it a tad for him. Rolling through the whoops doesn't stop him in the butt. On our seats, we do have a gut seat foam with a gut seat cover. Justin's not too picky, so I know with some riders they do prefer a used worn-in seat for a comfort feel, but he's okay with the stock feel. We actually made reinforced brackets, actually made out of titanium, and that's mostly just for a strength issue. Chain guides and chain rollers on the front are stock Suzuki pieces, and our rear chain guide is made in-house at JGR. Chain guide that we've built allows us to move it a little bit further back, which will help prevent the chain from slipping off the rear sprocket. So we do have a DID XL chain and Pro Taper sprockets. So as far as like sprocket size, Justin is very particular about what size sprocket he's on. He's very comfortable on current rear sprocket. It's 50 tooth. Axle position too, it's something that we've kind of tested a little bit in the off season as far as where he likes it, and it's kind of fine-tuned it over the year. Stock rear axle and our axle blocks and axle nut are factory Japan. Again, same as the front wheel, our rear wheel hubs and spokes are factory Suzuki Japan XL hoop. Being on the bigger bike this year, I went to a 120 rear tire, whereas as opposed to Chad Reed on a 110 rear, and that's more of just a feel preference between the two. Complete rear brake setup, again, is all factory Suzuki Japan. Actually, the brake pedal itself is made in-house at Joe Gibbs Racing with a factory factory titanium tip on it. Same as the front brake, prefer a very stiff initial feel on it. Brake clevis itself is also a factory Suzuki piece. On our rear brake pedal, the spring was actually mounted in a different position to basically get it out of the way. Yeah, the window being mounted on the back side is more of a protective issue. On our rear brake, we do run a different piston. It's actually made from titanium, again mostly for strength purposes, and holes that are drilled in it are for weight reduction. We run a complete Yoshimura titanium exhaust system tailored directly for our engine characteristics. We work directly with Yoshimura, so we run a factory Showa rear shock, and our linkage system is made in-house at Joe Gibbs Racing and is for purchase to the general consumer. Nothing too crazy on the length on the linkage, it's pretty standard length. So we do run a piece on the rear brake pedal called a brake snake, and it's basically just a wire cable that connects from the brake tip to the frame itself. So in the event of a crash, if the brake pedal were to be pulled away, it won't completely rip off the bike. Justin is probably the easiest rider on a clutch I've ever worked with. Nothing too crazy internally, pretty basic setup. Mostly because he really doesn't touch the clutch at all during the race. Kickstarter is all completely stock. The water pump covers are all factory Suzuki Japan. So we do have a O2 sensor mounted directly to the head pipe, mostly for us to get an extra measurement for our ECU system, fine tune our fuel map. The mount that you see here on the right, that is where we hook our computer into for our data acquisition system. And specifically for this week, with the weather coming in, knowing that it's probably going to be heavy mud on the track, we are running a fan system for extra cooling. Same basic setup that we have for outdoor motocross. So we do run a full carbon fiber skid plate for added protection underneath. So we do run a factory Suzuki ECU system, with us being able to kind of fine tune a little bit further than you can on a stock system, and we can kind of go in and safely fine tune the bike and make it run as safely and as efficiently as possible. So we have a company called Armored. They're a local company in North Carolina that does our graphics for us. The guy does a great job as far as tailoring our needs for what we need for a graphics package. So pretty much all of our fasteners that you see on the bike from front to back are switched to either titanium or aluminum. It's mostly for strength and weight purposes. And new for this year, we are running a no toil air filter system. And new for this year, we do have UFO plastics, and our engine oil, chemicals are all manufactured and provided from X-Star, which is a Suzuki company.